take an early look at Texas A&M this weekend. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because we upload segments here and do shows every single day. I could not be more excited about this game this weekend. A lot of reasons as to why. A lot of reasons. Number one, I don't particularly enjoy Texas fans. Don't particularly enjoy Texas A&M fans. Some of y'all cool. Some of y'all all right. Some of y'all cool. Some of y'all cool. But you understand, right? What I love most about this game is that they hate each other more than you can actually fathom. And the ones that claim not to care, they hate each other the most. And this game has so many wide-ranging implications that I felt like we really did need to take an early look at it before we do the preview segments and whatnot and talk about the stakes here. So, off the rip, every Texas fan in the world owes Oklahoma roses, chocolates, a steak dinner, because Oklahoma cleared the path for Texas to get into the SEC championship with its upset victory against Alabama on Saturday. You're welcome. You're welcome. Don't expect it to happen all that often, but you are welcome. And anything you win from here on out, you will have to just tip a cap to the Oklahoma Sooners who helped make this happen because, well, it's you who lost to Georgia, not us. All right, so there's that. And then we got basically the idea for Texas A&M that they can win this game. We know they can win this game because they were on the losing end of games like this one last week. Check this out. There were 3 top 15 SEC teams that went down and beat down on the road on Saturday. One lost 24-17 to a 5-5 team. One lost 27-3 to a 5-5 team. And one lost to a 4-6 team in OTs. That's you, Texas A&M, in case you were not clear on the bingo here, right? So that first one, that was Florida beating Ole Miss. Second one was obviously Oklahoma beating Alabama. And then A&M giving it up to the War Damn Eagle and putting themselves in the crosshairs as opposed to being able to just kind of walk into the SEC championship game more or less with a win or a loss this weekend. It could have gone either way, right? So this week is also going to be for the spot in the SEC championship game against Georgia because Oklahoma also cleared the path for Georgia to get into the SEC championship game and clinch because they're done with their SEC schedule. They beat UMass like they stole something. They'll probably beat Georgia Tech this weekend. Now A&M and Texas not just playing for the first time since 2011 when Justin Tucker made that kick that he has said helped launch his career in the NFL. Not sure he would have been an NFL kicker, let alone one of the greatest NFL kickers of all time, had it not gone the way it did with him being able to make that kick. And frankly, Colt McCoy's little brother Case scrambling for 25 yards put them in position to make that kick. Never mind, he had a wide open running back that could have done that for him. He was like, nah, I'm going to be the hero here. And people still remember Justin Tucker 2011. Then A&M goes to the SEC, and depending on who you talk to, Texas vowed to never play A&M vowed to never play Texas. What we know is that they weren't going to play. We knew that this rivalry was dead. And that sucked because I grew up with basically 3 games were going to be that Thanksgiving weekend, if not Thanksgiving, that I look forward to every year. And that list grew, but it was Bedlam, Oklahoma State. Don't know when the hell we're going to see that again. USC, Notre Dame, right? The Egg Bowl also in there sometimes, depending. But the last one was obviously A&M and Texas. And I'm so happy to see this one back because this game really does have skin in the game, right? Like this is one where they're going to take this one back to work and to church on Sunday, work on Monday, and they're going to be talking about it through Christmas, through the new year, no matter what happens for either one of these teams, because this one is going to matter so much more, not just because they haven't played this game in 13 years, but because the winner of this game is going to make the SEC championship game at the expense of the other, right? I really love that. Now, can they beat Georgia if you're A&M? Maybe. I doubt it, though. Can they beat Texas? Maybe. I doubt it, though. So, another way of looking at this, from where I'm sitting at least, right, what I'm thinking about, is A&M has his back against the wall and is surrounded on all 3 sides, right? You can't afford to lose this game. Can't afford to lose this game because A, it's Texas, B, it's for a spot in the SEC championship game, and C, A loss likely banishes you to the shadow realm outside the college football playoff. Like, this is win or go home the rest of the way for you. Like, a 4-loss A&M is going to be a really difficult sell in the college football playoff, even in the SEC championship game as a runner-up, because of the way that the season is unfolded. For Texas, you can't afford to lose because, A, it's ampersand U. B, it's for a place in the SEC championship in year one. And C, you probably going to go into the college football playoff with a win here this weekend. You can afford a loss in the conference championship because you don't have more than one, right? You got Georgia. But a loss to A&M opens the door for a rude discussion about old money like Penn State getting in and new money like Indiana getting in at your expense. Can't have that if you are a Texas fan. And not for nothing, but speaking of Indiana and Penn State, haven't these carpetbagging Yankees taken enough from you? You know what I'm saying? Isn't it time for you to remind folks that Texas was once a nation before it was a state, even though we needed to help y'all and you got annexed back in here? But, carry the national state of Texas pride with you into this one. See how that goes over you with the farmers. Stakes, I mentioned, man, couldn't be higher for the return of this series, this rivalry, because it's got more hate than hell hath fury for heaven heralding retribution for the wicked. Like, it's got biblical proportions to it, man. I'll give a score prediction on this one a little bit later on in the week, but I just wanted to underscore what we are all looking at here. So knowing what we're all looking at, who are the players, right? I've told you what the setup is. Who are the players? Players got to be Texas's defense, which is number 3 in the country. They are stingy. They're giving up about 12 points per game. And they got one of the better defensive backs in the country in Jahdae Barron, who's got 4 picks and hits like a hammer. Like, I really enjoy watching that defense play. They have been able to get nasty here of late. Anthony Hill ought to be an All-American. Maybe the best linebacker in the Southeastern Conference, right? Depending on how you want to look at stats, right? Danny Stutzman is a Butkus Award finalist, and he should be with what he's meant to the sport, what he's meant to Oklahoma. Anthony Hill leads Texas in tackles with 79. And he's got 7.5 sacks, and he's forced 4 fumbles. Like, that's a nasty stat line for him. And then I mentioned Jahdae Barron, and then Andrew Mukuba also has 4 INTs. So you're not really looking to throw the ball if you're Colin Klein and A&M with Marcel Reed, because Marcel Reed is just not as accurately good, or not as accurate as Connor Wigman, but he ain't got to be, because the game plan has to be something like we're going to try to run Marcel and Daniels all up and down you. We're going to try to do that because we can eat the ball, we can eat clock, we can kick it out of your hands. But the thing about that Texas defense, they're really good at getting stops, getting it back to the offense. Now, the offense for Texas is also underrated because we thought it was going to be a little bit more pass happy and a little bit more pass friendly. It hasn't been that pass happy or that pass friendly, even though Quinn Ewers has Matthew Golden out there, Isaiah Bond out there, DeAndre Moore has come along, and Ryan Wingo is a star, but the best receiving threat on that team is Gunnar Helms. He's also leading the team in catches. He's been outstanding for them. Then, take into account that even without Cedric Baxter and Christian Clark, they have been so good running the football at Texas. That's a credit to the offensive line and, frankly, the running back room that has stayed healthy. Like, I'm looking at how Texas has been able to stay healthy, and I'm asking real questions about former A&M strength coach, former Oklahoma strength coach, and now Oklahoma strength coach, Jerry Schmidt, and what the difference is. Because while I thought they were going to have a rash of injuries based on the kind of injuries that they were sustaining at that running back room, Jaydon Blue has been great, and Trey Wisner has come on as one of the better tailbacks in the Southeastern Conference, and that tandem is really, really good, to say nothing of what Jared Gibson was able to add. You don't miss other dudes like Jonte Cook, right, which I thought you would, and they simply don't. They got speed on the outside. They got speed in the middle. Jaydon Blue gets east and west. He's got over 50 catches. And Steve Sarkisian is probably the most innovative and creative offensive play caller that we have in the sport today. And he's been here before. He knows how to coach in this sort of a game. He knows how to win at this level, unlike some. So knowing all of that, knowing that this is probably going to be a game that is about who can run the football and who can stop people from getting in, you gotta lean toward Texas on this one. You do. What I would give A&M credit for is that you're playing at Kyle Field, Playing at Kyle Field is not an easy thing to do. Notre Dame showed up there, got a W, right? But that's about what you would expect. If they're as good as Notre Dame, Texas ought to be able to win this football game. That's it. But for Texas, your job is to make that Aggie yell into something like a helping holler, like screaming for help, screaming for mercy, asking how did this happen. Watch them play Mo Bamba, which is about a Texas basketball player, at Kyle Field, and then y'all be dancing to it. Don't get too ahead, though. Got to keep it together. And you might see it get raucous. Like the way that we have seen goalposts coming down, the way that we have seen fans acting out, I would not be shocked to find out that at Kyle Field, if things ain't going A&M's way, they might be heard. And if A&M are able to beat Texas, I would not be shocked to find out that the Farmers come down out of the stands and they make off with the goalposts, because that's just what they're going to do, because that's what we all do, right? I wasn't thrilled about Oklahoma doing it against Alabama. But, I'm not one of the children no more. I just know that beating Alabama was never any cause to bring down any damn goalposts when I was a child, when I was in high school, when I was in college. You beat a good football team because you are a good football team. Tearing down a goalpost means that you didn't expect to be a good football team. And while Oklahoma's record is Oklahoma's record, I often wonder what happens if this team is healthy. Like, I realize that people think that the offensive coordinator is a problem. Cool, but if the offensive line is healthy, the receivers are healthy, is it a different outcome for Oklahoma and a win-loss record? Who could know? I know this part. At A&M and at Texas, both the play callers have been in their bags from time to time, and they've made it work with the backup quarterback when they've had to. Both the defenses know how to come after people. They know how to get after people. They know how to dial up pressure, and they know when to. Between Mike Elko and Steve Sarkisian, you've got a really great fight. You've got a styles fight. You've got a guy who's got a defensive mindset who built his brand around that, and a guy who's got an offensive mindset who built his brand around that. They're both big up front. They've both got the best offensive line in the SEC is at Texas or Georgia, right? And I think one of the best defensive lines in the SEC is at A&M. They just got dudes. So I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be closer than many people think. And we'll see what I pick and how I pick when we do the prediction segment.